All right. Welcome on in to another action packed and live post Super Bowl edition of the Between the Hashmarks podcast. The Seattle Seahawks have flown home with the Lombardi Trophy after a bombastic and dominant defensive performance. And as always, I'm Matt Lombardo, joined by my friend, colleague, mentor, and the purveyor of the Two Deep Zone on Substack. Mike Tanier is here. Michael, how you doing today?
I'm doing great. Have they flown home? Do we have the flight path? Are they still doing interview? It's only. I'm not correcting you. It's like I'm starting this by correcting you. But it's only 10 a.m. there. Do you think they've flown home yet?
Oh, you know what? There still might be that post-game press conference where
Yes.
Roger Goodell hands the football off to the Los Angeles Super Bowl host committee, and Sam Darnold gives his Super Bowl MVP press conference bleary-eyed, and before he hops on the private jet to Disneyland. All of these things are happening. Kenneth Walker is at that press conference, so they might not have flown home.
Have you ever been to it, or do you know anyone who's ever been to it?
Dude, you know me. You know me. I'm back in my hotel room writing until like 3 a.m. because the Super Bowl shuttles are a nightmare.
Right.
I'm probably like a scotch in from the hotel bar writing said column. Do you really think that this guy, is rolling his ass out of bed at like 7 a.m. to get to the Super Bowl MVP press conference?
Yeah.
Come on.
I didn't even go to the one in New York where it's like, I guess I could hit this and hop on a Amtrak home anytime I feel like. It's like, nope, not worth it. Not worth it. But for us, it's a different vibe. And like, we didn't go this year, but often we're there. And, we worked our butt off last night. You told me you got to bed about 1 something. I got to bed a little earlier than that. Next week is our first Sunday with no football in 6 months. And many people lament that. And we'll be bored out of our skull by May, whatever. But what do you plan to do with that first Sunday?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of brainstorming happening in this house because Saturday is also Valentine's Day. So we have kind of tried to figure out how to integrate and incorporate the kids into the Valentine's Day plans. So we're like, do we go to the aquarium in Camden? That could be an idea.
Yeah.
Do we go? We always go to Hershey and Chocolate World the weekend of Easter. Do we go there? Probably going to be a disaster, so we won't do that.
Yeah.
Do we find a restaurant the kids all like and take them there? Something like that will probably happen on Saturday or Sunday.
Right.
How about you, though? What's on the agenda at Chateau des Daniers?
Well, it's different here in the empty nest, so to speak, where the boys are off worried about their own Valentine's things or whatever. Probably going to the movies, probably seeing Wuthering Heights.
Ooh.
Oh, my wife's a big Wuthering Heights, whoever that is, like Jane Austen or Charlotte Bronte or whoever Wuthering Heights was. So we're going to do that. I think that's the plan, but it is a little bit easier. You don't want to go to a restaurant on Valentine's Day. It's chaos. No bueno.
And the menu is limited, and people look at us cross-eyed because we're bringing kids out on Valentine's Day and all those things. Our kids are pretty decent in the restaurant, but sometimes they'll climb on the booths and stuff like that. I mean, they're kids. They're 7 and 3. It happens. I've had this idea in the back of my mind. I've never really spoken it into existence, but every year going to a different brewery that in the region that first free Sunday. And kids usually love it. There's good food, and you bring the coloring books and stuff like that. Maybe we'll kick off that tradition and start checking off the list where we've been after the Super Bowl was over with.
That's not a bad idea. And some of them, because there's no football anymore, will have a little guitar player or something like that. If that's your vibe, not a bad idea. I don't know, though. There's still snow on the ground here. There's probably still snow on the ground there. You go to the breweries and you think you're going to play, what do you call it? Cornhole out in front, and it's a frozen style beanbag, so you can't do it.
No. And obviously we're going to come up with something. It'll be fun. It'll be nice not to have to be glued to the 3 TVs for 12, 13 hours or whatever.
Go to the gym. Go ride your John if you have a John. Well, you have a John, like a Peloton, that's a Stairmaster. A John.
Walk laps around the neighborhood. More laps into the step goal. We got 5-star goals this year, my friend.
5-star goals. Also, we got 5-star review, don't we?
We sure do. We're going to read it here. It comes in from Clang Star. 5-star review. The headline is NFL Talk for Nerds, Cynics, and Dreamers. Where have I heard those phrases before? He says, quote, I've followed Tanier across as many journalistic stops up to and including being a paying subscriber to his Substack because for my money, he's the best at blending stats, humor, and common sense when analyzing the NFL. And now that I've gotten to know Lombardo, I appreciate his knowledge and his humanity. Yes, sometimes Matt can drop a too obvious and obviously false take, like the Jets are going to take a step next year. Really? And sometimes Mike can dig his head in the sand like the Patriots are schedule frauds, exclamation point. But they balance each other out, and this show is not about hot takes anyway. It's about thoughtful, funny NFL discussion, and these guys have perspective that the NFL is just a game, not like typical self-important sports personalities. Be sure to listen to this podcast, unquote.
How'd you like your schedule frauds last night, huh? Huh? And by the way, it's comments like that is why you're complimented for your humanity.
I'll take it. I'll take it.
Right. You're not a cartoon character like the Tasmanian Devil of Anger here, but really appreciate that. We really both your support. And yeah, we try not to be too self-serious around here.
Absolutely. And of course, if you enjoy the podcast, if you enjoy the show, we would really appreciate it if you found a way to support our work. You can go and subscribe to the Two Deep Zone on Substack, where you'll find walkthrough every Monday. It's mandatory reading. It's my appointment piece every Monday morning. Drop the kids off at school, off at the bus, grab my Nitro Cold Brew, sit down and read Mike Tanier. It's the best subscription you can buy. It blends everything that Klangstar talked about. It's the dad jokes. It's the superhero comparisons. It's the deep analytic dives. Great storytelling. Analysis. Be sure to subscribe to the Two Deep Zone. If you enjoy my insider reporting and my features that I put out there, you can subscribe to Between the Hash Marks on Substack as well. And of course, check us out on Apple Podcasts. Leave us those 5-star reviews. Write the rating that Klangstar did, or put it in your own words, and let us know what you like, what you don't like. You can rip us if you want. Just leave those 5 stars. They help build us up, help us become easier to find in the algorithm. And we read all the 5-star reviews on the show, no matter what they say.
That's right. You can say that I stick my head in the sand and it won't stick in my craw. It won't bother me. It will not keep me up at night that people are saying stuff like that about me.
I'm going to have to be your emotional support podcast co-host today, aren't I?
But, we got only one game to talk about this week, man. And you nailed it in your column. Absolutely. You got into the numbers. Usually I get into the numbers. You really got into the numbers this time. And it started with, who you really, I think, focused your column on. And it was Devin Witherspoon. And yeah. So, and this is a little controversy out there. Who is your real MVP? Was it Walker? Was it Witherspoon? Or dare I say, other?
Yeah, I think this is one where the voters got it right. Right. And I loved what Witherspoon did. And I thought that he was the heat-seeking missile who blew up Drake May on a couple of occasions and played a starring role in the interception that was returned for a touchdown and all of those things. But I don't know that the Seahawks score that touchdown without Kenneth Walker bludgeoning and beating that Patriots defense into submission. And some of the eye-popping stats from Walker's performance, he had 6 runs of 10 yards or more in the Super Bowl. And you have to remember, that was the number 1 rushing defense in the league on the other side. They were holding opponents in the playoffs to something like 71 rushing yards per game in the postseason. Walker forces 9 missed tackles. He had 79 yards to his rushing total off of those misses. And it just seems like he was the offense. We could talk about Jason Myers. We could talk about what Witherspoon did. But I think that the voters got it right with Kenneth Walker because of the impact that he made overall, not just what he did within the numbers on the stat sheet.
Well, somebody very, very influential, you mentioned Jason Myers, was really advocating Jason Myers. You a Jeopardy watcher?
I am.
Ken Jennings.
I saw.
Big time Seahawks fan. I don't know if he was being facetious or not, but was going for Myers. I might have gone for the kicker if they were a bunch of 54-yard field goals. You could have talked me into it, not a bunch of 41-yarders. Everything you said, absolutely. I don't know about the touchdown. They don't score those field goals.
No.
They don't get that first field goal if he doesn't have those 2 runs with some of those 9 missed tackles to get him in the range. Later field goal after the Myles Murphy fumble recovery. That's 2 of those 10-yard runs, Walker. That sets up the field goal. So you don't get those points that lead to the game turning into a very slow motion blowout without him. No disrespect to Weatherspoon. And you really wrote about Weatherspoon there. I'll just say this. You can't get sacks and strip sacks, or almost a strip sack. It got taken away from him by the scorers without blitzing as a cornerback. And you can only blitz as a cornerback if the other cornerbacks are trustworthy enough in coverage. So Weatherspoon's able to do what he does because Jobe and Woolen gave up the touchdown, but Woolen and the other guys in secondary and Love were doing their job. He was building it on the backs of what that defense could do, whereas Walker was carrying things on the offensive side.
Absolutely. And how much fun were those nickel blitzes to watch?
Oh, my God.
Particularly the first one. Yeah, NBC, first of all, I think NBC should have the Super Bowl every year, from the 4K feed, the production value, the camera angles. But that Witherspoon, that first sack in the second quarter, was his third down. And you just saw him like he was a missile, fired right at the quarterback, up to the line of scrimmage, changes direction at the last moment to avoid the block, gets the sack. Just unbelievable to watch how versatile he is, how rangy he is, how explosive he is as a blitzer. That was just so much fun to see happen in real time in game speed from Witherspoon, and what a weapon he is for that defense.
And that was like A Star Is Born, because that introduces Witherspoon to the world as this defender, where you didn't see much of him. And you don't always notice cornerbacks in these games, and you see that. What was funny, that first one was phenomenal. And, of course, the big play that leads to what they call a pick six, which looked more like a strip six or whatever. Strip sack, whatever you want to call it. It was a huge play. The Patriots get that touchdown, and then they get a stop on defense, and then Dixon, who had a phenomenal game as a punter, pins them. And I'm watching, I wonder if Mike Macdonald's going to sit back and play a prevent defense. Oh,
no. No. So Bill Belichick's game plan from that Super Bowl win with the Giants as a defensive coordinator is in the Hall of Fame. And I know that the garbage time happened for Drake May. I know the numbers that he put up in the fourth quarter, but just the rush concepts, just the stunts that the front seven was throwing at that offensive line all night long, the fact that Will Campbell gave up 14 pressures, I'll contend that by sticking to his guns, right, that Mike Macdonald's game plan should be in a booth next to Bill Belichick's, because to me, that was one of the more impressive defensive performances we've seen in the Super Bowl in modern history.
Yes, I absolutely. What they did early with all those blitz packages and keeping it on. There was one drive after the touchdown drive where he is blitzing right in May's face. And May is turning, and so May has figured out enough to go turn it to the swing pass, get 7 yards. Turn it to the swing pass to get 7 yards. And Collinsworth is rightly saying, well, May is starting to figure this out a little bit. It's 19-7, buddy. It's not sustainable. If you have to turn around and throw into the teeth of this, something bad's going to happen, and that's what it did. But it was just testimony to a commitment to, that mentality, that game plan, that scheme that made sure that game never turned into a game last night.
Yeah, that drive was a dead cat bounce from the Patriots because the Seahawks defense was just stifling and swarming the entire night, as they've been all year. And I sat down to read walkthrough this morning, and I thought you did a really great job of encapsulating where this team stands historically from a metrics and an analytics standpoint. And you just think about the fact that I think that Aaron Schatz at FTN Fantasy had them as the third or fourth best team assembled in the DVOA era, at least according to DVOA. And it's just remarkable to me that they were that good from wire to wire and from starting whistle to final gun on Sunday. And then you start looking and you're like, this is a really wide window here.
You mean in terms of success?
In terms of sustainability from here.
I think we'll get to that in a little bit. Yeah. One thing is they have $72 million worth in cap space.
Yeah.
They can keep their guys. People are talking about Kenneth Walker. Well, Kenneth Walker is going to leave as a free agent. I was on Vancouver radio. I pulled up the cap space. It's like, if you want to give him a Saquon budget or a McCaffrey budget, give him a Saquon or McCaffrey budget. You can afford that. You can shape it the way you want. You can bring guys in. That's strong. But yeah, I went over it with Aaron on an earlier podcast. In terms of DVOA, I might have the order wrong, but it's the 1991 Washington team. People don't remember how phenomenal that team was. They blew everyone away. They were in the same division with the Emmitt Smith, Troy Aikman Cowboys, and they swept past them to the Super Bowl. 2007 Patriots need no introduction.
Yep.
1985 Super Bowl Shuffle Bears you weren't even born yet, but you know who they are.
Yep.
Or you were one or whatever. Then there's a little gap because that's like this sort of historic thing. And then the Seahawks. And then it's like the best of the Joe Montana 49ers, the best of the Brett Favre Packers. That's where this team ranks for this year. And that's remarkable because, I mean, they were a 10-7 team last year. And before that, they were in this rebuilding porridge. They were in this nowheresville where they were just another 500-ish team that was never on television.
For sure. So if you were handing out the MVP last night, are you sticking with Kenneth Walker, or are you going with force multiplier on defense, Devin Witherspoon?
I'm going with Kenneth Walker, and then I would probably go with Witherspoon. Maybe Derek Hall would be third. Dixon would be fourth, punting and getting that ball to the 4 and the 2 yard line, especially that punt that put him on the 4 after the touchdown and the stop. Big play by the punter. You can put Cooper Kupp in there. I mean, you can put Job. Is that his name, Job or Jobe? Yeah, who has targeted like 10 times, gave up 2 catches. Phenomenal. I'm going to turn it around on you because you have so many numbers in your column. And folks, go check it out. What was the most surprising number that you
I'll give you the most surprising in a second, but there was one that was left off because I wasn't sure if historically it was that significant, but I wanted to throw it to you that would this have mattered that the Seahawks had more first downs than the Patriots had points? I couldn't. It was too late at night for me to figure out. There were 2 games in the playoffs where that didn't happen. That the points didn't come close to the opponent's first downs. But would that have been a significant number, having more first downs than points allowed defensively?
I feel like that's a pretty significant number. You have so many other numbers in there that illustrate the similar point, though. So I think we're good.
Yes. Yeah. So that was one that missed the cut, but I went with the number 6 for the purpose of our podcast. And the number 6, that's the number of sacks from Devin Witherspoon, Byron Murphy, and Derek Hall. It speaks to a larger theme at play here, and that's John Schneider didn't just build a championship team, but built a gauntlet now that the rest of the NFL has to go through right under our nose. Kind of to your point, unexpected. Who saw this coming out of Seattle? But the homegrown talent across this roster is just insane. And they have staying power, and they built all of this, and they won this Super Bowl after paying Sam Darnold $33 million per year. And I start to think about like how the mentality is always win with your quarterback on the rookie contract because then it gets hard. Like my brain almost can't compute and accept that John Schneider did this because this isn't a one-year wonder. When you look at how many of these other key players are either on their rookie deals or have 1 or 2 more years of team control, you touched on walkthrough. Put him now alongside Les Snead and Howie Roseman because they've all delivered, and Schneider has now done it with 2 different eras, the Legion of Boom and the Dark Side. But number 6 here, number of sacks from 3 homegrown talents, to me stood out in this game and stands out to typify this era of Seahawks football.
Yeah, and Murphy and Spoon were high picks. Hall was a mid-round pick. I remember interviewing him. I was like standing there talking to him at a combine one time. And if you look all around that roster, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th round picks over and over again, those are the guys who are succeeding. That's what Schneider did a decade ago. And when we say a decade ago or 12 years ago, it's like, well, what did he do in between? It's like, well, that team was a playoff team until about 2019, 2020. And they were like a playoff close to that, close to the playoffs with Geno Smith. They were never bad, but they had their rise and fall. And now they're having another rise. The one that amazed me, I think it was 60, which was Drake May's yards after the 3rd quarter.
Yeah, like, I mean, they just completely made the Patriots non-dimensional. I mean, and I'm going to get to this in a second, but like the fact that they completely grounded the passing game, we forget about this. Drake May was the MVP runner-up in the closest first, second place MVP race in what, a decade, and he just completely took him out of the game.
They took him out of the game. Absolutely. Let me ask you this. Okay, we talked about the best Seahawks. Who was the most surprising Seahawk for you?
Yeah. My mind went right here. It was Derek Hall because excuse me, 12s. Pardon my ignorance, Seahawks fans, but who is this guy? Right? and he had 2 sacks all season. He had 2 sacks last night. He, forced the fumble in a key moment in the game. He also had 2 more tackles for loss, a quarterback hit, and he was in the backfield all night long. So I did not see Derek Hall coming. I did not see Derek Hall having that kind of performance in him. So he was the most surprising for me. How about you?
I'm sorry, I'm looking at Sean Dillon Weir comes in. Bad Bunny outrushed the Patriots 124 to 79. I don't know how you calculated Bad Bunny's yardage there, but he definitely had a stronger performance overall than the Patriots offense. Hall is my guy too. He gets that early sack where it's just like he leaves a sack of flour on the ground, but the sack of flour is actually Will Campbell, and just wheelbarrows him back. And I was like, holy cow, look what Tank Williams did. Tank Williams. And then I look closer and I was like, that's Boye Mafe. It's got a 5 in front of it because I'm familiar with Mafe, who's a more traditional edge rusher. And then finally they say that's Derek Hall. Now, Derek Hall was a second-round pick a couple of years ago. Like you said, he's on the team. He gets a couple of sacks a year. But just the level of physicality. I think what it is a testimony to how many of the guys there are. It was Hall. It was Hall because they've got 8 guys, and he was there when Campbell was done, or when Campbell wasn't ready for the moment. Hall was the guy who was there.
It was like the executive I spoke to late last night told me that, they're so good up front. And then what they do is they match their strength against the opponent's strength at all 3 levels, all throughout the game, all throughout the season. You have twitchy pass rushers up front, like Derek Hall, like Leonard Williams, like Tank Lawrence, or like Mafe, like on and on and on and on. They just keep coming at you. And then you look at the secondary, it's playmakers across the board. And breakout performance for him. I said at the top of the column, the Super Bowl creates superstars. Witherspoon, Kenneth Walker, and Hall, to me, I think that they earned that reputation coming out of last night.
And a kid named Riley Mills had a sack, and he shoved the lineman back. Of course, Nwosu has the touchdown. And it's a little fluky that he's given a pick 6 because it was much Witherspoon was involved with that. But like the guy who has the touchdown is like the 9th guy we're mentioning.
Right.
Which is a testimony to what happened defensively with the Seahawks team. That was your most surprising Seahawk. What about your most disappointing Patriot? There's so many choices.
Allow me a moment here. It's Mike Vrabel. It's Mike Vrabel. And look, he's coach of the year, and the turnaround and everything they did in the regular season, well-deserved. I'm fine with it. I wrote this whole column a couple weeks ago about he completely transformed the culture. It was like somebody else was coaching that game last night. It was like somebody kidnapped Mike Vrabel and sent a body double out there impersonating the Patriots head coach, because the first thing, but maybe even the least egregious thing, is he forgot that TreVeyon Henderson exists.
Okay,
because if you think back to early in that game, like I'm talking the first quarter, the first couple drives, I don't think he realized that they still were kind of in that game, even though the Seahawks had them on their heels and were blitzing on every single snap and blanketing their receivers and running all these stunts and all these games with the defensive linemen. Why put everything on Drake May's busted shoulder? Why not try to run into the teeth of that blitz and get them on their heels, get them on skates a little bit? So that's number one. But this is where I want to really launch Mike Vrabel into the sun.
Okay.
Because midway through the third quarter, it's 12-0. Right? Mm-hmm. The game is not over by any stretch. It's 12-0. You have the luxury of time on your side. You're at the 41-yard line. It's 3rd and 1. Now, it's a long one, but it's a 1. I get out the yardstick, I stick it down, and that's as far as the 1 is going to be, right? If I'm Mike Vrabel, yeah, you throw the ball on third down. You throw it on 3rd and 1. I have TreVeyon Henderson. I have Ramondre Stevenson. I have big dudes that I can throw in at fullback. I've done it throughout the year. I did it in the playoffs. Run it on 3rd and 1 with TreVeyon Henderson. You don't need to put it in your quarterback's hands there. And then 4th and 1, you punt.
Right.
You punt the ball on 4th and 1. To me, that was the give up moment. I tweeted it, I posted it, I put on threads. The white flag, that's your surrender moment. And if I'm that defense, if I'm Christian Gonzalez, if I'm Carlton Davis, if I'm Milton Williams, if I'm any of those guys, I'm walking into the locker room with my tail between my legs in that moment because, like, I've done everything I can do. The offense isn't going to do it at all. My coach doesn't even think the offense can pull it off. It was gutless, and Mike Vrabel cost his team the game in that moment.
He cost it there?
I'm done.
No, I agree. He's my most disappointing guy because I don't want to rip Drake May, who has a long career ahead of him, had a fine regular season. I don't want to rip these offensive linemen who, especially the rookies, might have hit the wall.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, okay, you're on gas. Last year at LSU, the season has been over for a couple weeks, and now you're facing the Broncos and the Texans and the Seahawks. You're done. You know, Vrabel's the guy who should be setting the tone. 4th and 1, that was a huge mistake. The analytics people say he should have gone for 2, 19-7 after that big touchdown. Whatever. I don't know what that matters at that point. Beginning of the game, Cooper Kupp's bobble.
Yes. How do you not challenge it there?
No challenge. Okay, you don't trust your offense, but you're going to let your defense give up 25 yards that might not have been 25 yards if you throw the challenge flag.
Right. And what do you have to lose? A challenge that you might or might not need later in the game? A timeout that you can't take with you? It's the Super Bowl. Like, what do you? I don't see how that was a catch. There was never clear control, and neither of us and nobody knows what a catch is. But there's a challenge there. You're right. Yeah. Spot on with that.
Every fan who watches football sees that and like, wait, I don't know if that's a catch. All of our brains go there. Vrabel's brain should absolutely go there. Vrabel gave up, Kevin Langstaff says. It definitely felt that way. Here's the thing. The guys on the radio thing I was doing in Seattle, Vancouver, mentioned that, and I didn't see this, when they would cut to the sidelines and Vrabel was talking to the players, you could hear his mouth, you could read his lips. He was saying, calm down, calm down, calm down. When somebody says calm down all the time, they're usually talking to themselves.
They're the ones who need to calm down. Yeah,
right.
You're absolutely right. And you know, the people point at Will Campbell and the 14 pressures that he gave up. I think there was an astute point on your part. Might have just hit the rookie wall. That might have just been what happened. But I don't think that people should be really surprised by that, right? Because he was the linchpin going into the game. Right? Because when you talk about the front, when you talk about DeMarcus Lawrence and that matchup, when you talk about moving guys around, putting them opposite him, it was always going to be, can he hold up? And if he holds up, Patriots have a puncher's chance at winning that game. Clearly, he did not. Clearly, I think some of the short arm issues might have come to light. But here's another issue with Mike Vrabel. I was talking to Joe Stazak about this, you know, a little bit ago, just kind of recapping the game in the column. Vrabel never, and Josh McDaniels never gave him help. They never put a blocking tight end on his side of the field to try to prevent all of this. I mean, there were no real in-game adjustments. The offense didn't really resemble what we saw in the regular season until that dead cat bounce in the 4th quarter. It seemed like Vrabel was coaching not to lose rather than to win. And it just seemed like he was terrified the whole night.
You know, he was terrified. It seemed, they were out of the game. People posted all kind of stats about how they were out of their game. But yeah, you can look back at Will Campbell, go back and watch the Giants, and you'll see him against Brian Burns and those guys. Like, yeah, he's okay. He still makes rookie mistakes. He's not just getting slaughtered. And then you go back a couple weeks ago and you see, Daniel Hunter and Will Anderson. It's like, okay, you're getting beat by 2 all-pros and you're a rookie, but you're not just getting rocked back by a second-round pick who gets 2 sacks a year. It was a different thing. But it all begins at the top, and Vrabel did not put them in position to win that game. You talked about 4th and 1. You talked about Henderson. You talked about Stevenson. Drake May is a 238-pound rock. Just have him run a sneak. Here in Philly, we know what to do. It's 3rd and 1, 4th and 1. We have a decision to make. Patriots acted like this was like uncharted territory for them. Tom Brady ran sneaks in those situations.
Yeah,
I'm sure Drake
and
May could.
You look at Drake May by the numbers, he led the league in scramble yards among quarterbacks. He rushed for something like 15 yards all game last night, and
Yeah.
it was like that element of his game just disappeared. And now, if the shoulder was a bigger issue than anybody let on, to
Mhm.
me, that's on Vrabel, and that's on
Yeah.
Josh McDaniels, and that's on putting your game plan together to hide your quarterback rather than put the
Yeah.
game in his hands. And that means leaning into the running game. And that means designing more scrambles. That
Right.
means not throwing the ball on 3rd and 1. Like my
Right.
brain exploded. I couldn't believe what I was watching. And
Right.
it seemed like that entire game plan. We talk about, numbers that jumped out in the column.
Mhm.
Zero. Zero 4th down attempts by the
Yeah.
Patriots. It was
Yeah.
almost like he had auto-tuned his game plan to 1987 when head coaches auto-punted on 4th down. That's what
Yeah.
I felt like I was watching.
Right, right, and you're right, a team that was trailing the whole way. So it's like, well, and trailing the entire second half, where it's like at some point, you've gotta go for a 4th down. Now, late when it got silly, they never had to because they were moving the ball, but it was garbage time. Like, the opportunity came up, 4th and 1 was one. There was a 4th and 4. Now they were closer, deeper in their own territory at that point on the next series, but, like, I kept waiting, when are you going to do the thing you have to do to get this going? And Vrabel never did it.
No, no. So obviously, a lot of people tune into the game also for the commercials.
Oh, God.
What stood out for you? Anything?
Toilets singing Phil Collins.
That was my son's favorite. My 3-year-old son
Wasn't
loves
it?
the singing toilets. He was going nuts for it. I've never seen him laugh that hard. It was his favorite commercial the whole night.
Well, it's perfect humor for a 3-year-old. I don't know what the ad was for. I'm listening to "Take a Look at Me Now," and the toilets are singing. So many of the ads were by AI companies, where it looks like the ad was generated by AI and it was advertising to AI.
Yes.
Like the post-apocalyptic mindscape where the computers are all just talking to each other and they've forgotten that humans are supposed to be interacting with this in some way. Like, I don't know what this product is, what it's for, what I'm supposed to engage with. It's dry, it's weird, it's creepy because I think the whole AI industry is creepy, and it was like I can't even engage with what this is supposed to be.
I think it was for Claude, one of the early ones, one of the early commercials.
Yes.
The Claude, the AI firm. They put it was a dude about my age in his therapist's office talking about how he can reconnect with his mother or have a better relationship with his mom. But then it became like the therapist said, "Oh, if that fails, just go on cougarhunter.net and try to date an older woman." And I'm thinking to myself, wait a minute. Did the AI write that? Did they just write a prompt into Claude and say spit out the commercial? Was that what happened here? It did.
Is this a joke that the AI is writing a joke about what bad AI tells somebody when they give them advice? That commercial made me uncomfortable, Kevin Lang and stuff. I don't understand it. Is a joke that people have reached the point where they go to the AI for therapy, and the AI gives them bad advice, like saying, if you're having trouble with your mom, date an older woman. But we have an AI product for you. You understand what I'm saying here?
It doesn't drive me to the AI.
So take a look at me now. There's just an empty toilet.
I cracked a joke about the Coinbase. It didn't land on social, but how could Coinbase even afford that ad after what happened to crypto and Bitcoin the last couple of weeks? I mean, that was ridiculous.
The NFL and NBC made sure that the check cleared. And it's like, all right, assholes, we're going to run your ad for you. We're just going to burn your last couple of dimes here. It is. I mean, I'm an old man. It shouldn't be that bad for you. It's like AI, cryptocurrency, all these other things. I should, I don't even understand what this stuff is supposed to be about. And then,
and the one commercial that I actually laughed at, and again, it peeked behind the curtain. I'm writing my Super Bowl, and yours is probably the same way. while the game is happening, I'm also writing this like 3,500 word column to go live at 5 in the morning on Monday. So during the commercials, I'm like halfway paying attention, but I'm also like jotting things down in my notes app. Like, oh, here's a play that I want to mention, like the Christian Gonzalez pass breakup, that even though who knows what it means in the big picture, I want to include it. Or here's a stat that jumped out at me. I'm jotting it down in the notes app. I'm looking up. And I forget which beer it was, but the commercial where the keg rolls over Peyton Manning, I laughed so uncontrollably hard that my wife and daughter looked at me like, what the hell is wrong with you? And I think my wife was thinking, what a terrible parently influence you are, that like you're laughing that much in front of your daughter at this violence happening. But to me, that was the funniest commercial of the night.
And you don't know what beer it was, so it didn't actually work. Obviously, I knew it was Budweiser when the Clydesdale had an eagle riding it. There was an eagle riding a horse, and I thought it was a cut scene from Peacemaker, where John Cena has like a pet eagle because he's a stupid superhero. That's what I thought that was. Now, I don't want to get too much into the halftime show and everything because, it's very controversial. But, but okay. But this so one of the right-wing pundits out there, and you know how they are, it's like they were very mad about the Bad Bunny halftime show. You saw the Bad Bunny halftime show. You didn't switch over to Kid Rock, right?
Dude, it was terrific. It was outstanding. Hold on. Did you do we see what's behind me? Do we see what's behind me on the desk? Like, come on. I'm the demographic for the Kid Rock, Fragile Whites halftime counter programming. Like, come on, man.
I thought you were a big Woodstock 99 guy and had to have your Kid Rock. I'm sorry. I was just coming after you. So one of the right-wing pundits, I don't say her name, was very mad that there wasn't a single white person at the Bad Bunny halftime show. But you might remember the Lady Gaga, a paisan, was at the show, which means that apparently Italians aren't white anymore, man.
Okay. Okay. No skin off my back. But I think what that goes to show you from a broader perspective. I read about this right before we came on. Somebody had a great point that Lady Gaga didn't make the show about her. She didn't appropriate the culture. She blended into and added to the culture of the halftime show. And I think what I loved about last night for Bad Bunny was, I didn't understand a word of singing, but what it felt like for me, it felt like what I imagine walking down the street in like Puerto Rico feels like, or what I remember walking into a nightclub in South Beach feels like. It's just it's a different aspect of American culture, a different aspect of culture generally that we don't get to experience, that they're having joy and fun celebrating. I was bopping along the entire time, and I feel like people who can't open their minds enough to enjoy other people's cultures, I just feel bad for people like that, because you're robbing yourself of so much of what life has to offer by limiting yourself to this scope where you're watching Kid Rock.
Yeah.
Really?
Watching Kid Rock. And not only that, but then it becomes a wedding, because like the theme at the second half, it's a wedding. I think we can all appreciate a wedding. We've all been to weddings, and it's very clearly that there's a bride and there's a groom and there's like an uncle and a little girl dancing and all these other things. And it's like, I felt that. It's like, oh, I understand this is about family. This is about community. It's extremely universal. And it's about having too much to drink and dancing, having a good time and doing all of these celebrations. And it's like, I love this. This is wonderful. This is cool. I don't know the music very well. I never know the music. I haven't known the music in 15 or 20 years. I'm an old man. This is fine. This is really cool. I understood the themes of it, which was exciting. And I'll leave you with this. Anybody who thinks that Italian folks are not white really need to watch this podcast.
Yeah, we kind of proved that.
We're the whitest white people you will ever come across anywhere on the internet.
Hey, by the way, that couple actually got married. That was a legal wedding ceremony at halftime. Can you imagine being like any of the dudes on that stage watching that happen, and you're like, oh my God, how the hell do I top this with my girl?
They did Speak Now and Forever Hold Your Peace, and Mike Vrabel came running out. Punt. Yeah. Yeah, I can picture like some young folks, like, for our wedding, we have to top Bad Bunny concert halftime of the Super Bowl wedding. Like the bridezilla who's like, we gotta top that. It's like, how? What are you gonna do? You're gonna crash Taylor Smith and Travis Kelce's wedding. I don't know what you could possibly do. Buckingham Palace, perhaps, but I didn't know that they actually got. Was the service happening? Was there a priest? I'm sure there was a priest there somewhere, but
I think there were vows exchanged, and I've seen like 4 or 5 different credible people on social media point out that it was a legal wedding, that they were legally married during the halftime show, and that's just so cool. It's so cool, and I thought that it was just really neat to be able to experience a culture like that. And then to kind of, it felt uplifting. And to me, the lasting moment, I give Bad Bunny so much credit for this. In the Levi Stadium on the Jumbotron, it said, the only thing more powerful than hate is love. And he ends the halftime show naming off every country in quote unquote America with the only thing more powerful than hate is love on the background. What a message. Like this is the first time at all that I've woke up in the morning and feel like genuinely like hopeful about things after that. Not to make too much of a performance, but I thought that was I think we're going to look back on that as a seminal cultural moment for a lot of different reasons.
That was fun. Michael Allen Brewer says, yes, there was a priest. Kid Rock didn't have a priest. I tell you right now, Kid Rock did not have a priest. But yes, a young couple gets married at the Super Bowl. Stephon Diggs and Cardi B might have gotten separated at the Super Bowl circle of life.
Yes.
And maybe for the best. Maybe Cardi B, you can do better. Trust me. The man's a little crazy. We've almost got ourselves canceled 6 times. I have. You've been fine. You've been good.
I've been. I mean, that's how this usually goes. I cut you loose, and then I try to rein you in a little bit.
You're delivering us what Kevin said. Well said, Matt. You're delivering the actual positive messages here.
And I'm trying to keep us from getting canceled, man.
Well, you know what?
Go ahead.
Go ahead. Finish.
I was going to say we could spin this thing forward as we could from a football standpoint to next year. And
it's time. It's time.
What you want to do here? I saw the list and I was like, how's he want to handle this? So I'm going to turn the floor over to you and let you drive the bus for this.
Okay, so we got the BetMGM odds because they were the ones, Zach Berman, our friend, got them out first. Dave Zagara, I know you put the DraftKings out. You were a little late, buddy. You were about 15 minutes behind Zach here. You got to up your game a little bit here in the Philly media. But I'm going to just work off of these BetMGMs for what it's worth. And they're next year's Super Bowl odds because the rule is at noon on Monday, you're supposed to flip from Super Bowl coverage to off-season next year coverage, and we're about 2 hours behind.
Hey, not me, pal. 4 downs. 3rd down, the Alec Pierce sweepstakes is open.
That's right.
With an estimate from an assistant general manager. And I had 4 teams that I think could rise and surprise and follow in the Patriots' footprints as shocking teams.
Absolutely. You two are great. Who has a problem with this? Well, I do, Kevin. I have a problem with this. You listen. You know there's issues here.
Yes.
Okay. Let's look here. So BetMGM odds. I'm going to start with the first 2: Seahawks plus 800, Rams plus 900. You're bully on the Seahawks as a sustained success. I think they're going to be a sustained success, but I'm going to hit you with the Rams plus 900. We're neck and neck. Split the series in the regular season. Was an NFC Championship team was tight. 2 first-round picks. And millions, I don't have the number in front of me, in cap space of their own to get better. If I'm looking at the Seahawks plus 800, Rams plus 900, I would go with the Rams personally.
I think I'm still going Seattle only because I think that even though people on social media might not believe it because of how I carry myself there, I'm actually more of a believer in the Sam Darnold redemption arc in Seattle with the pieces around him than I am in 39-plus-year-old Matthew Stafford, who knows about Devontae Adams. I believe in Les Snead. I believe in the team-building philosophy. I'm just not sure that they overtake the behemoth that they have to overtake to get out of the NFC West in Seattle. And Michael Allen Brewer checks in. As a Falcons fan, I am pleased to see Matt's inclusion of the Falcons in his column, but the Pierce situation has really disappointed me.
What a mess. I I don't know, because again, we go into this without the information. There's domestic incidents, and there's domestic incidences that end with a police chase and a car crash at the end. And then that's the Pierce situation.
I know.
Yeah, the only saving grace of this is it means it doesn't get disappeared like in June. It's like, someone dropped the charges, because in domestic situations, the woman often drops the charges for 1,000 different reasons. It doesn't seem like that's going to be able to be possible with all the other things that Pierce did in this case, but it's obviously extremely disappointing. It's disheartening, and it's not good for the Falcons. And
no, there's no easy answers then, especially if there's discipline. And admittedly, I was unaware that this had happened yesterday when I put the column together. So I don't know that it changes the calculus, because I still love the other pieces around them on defense. I love that they're picking high in the draft again. I love the Stefanski hire, but obviously not great news when it comes to James Pierce.
Absolutely. Falcons are not on the BetMGM odds top list. So you're going Seahawks over Rams, just like the house. Now at plus 1,200, we got the Ravens and Bills at plus 1,200. I was talking to Aaron Schatz earlier. He thinks the Ravens are too high here because it's possibly a step back here. I could see that. I guess my question is, why are both of these teams plus 1,200?
Name recognition?
Yeah.
Quarterbacks? Right. Yeah. I mean, I'm bullish on the Jesse Minter and Anthony Weaver pairing in Baltimore, but I don't see it. I mean, this was the year, right? This was the year with Patrick Mahomes banged up. This was the year when you had all of the pieces in place. I remember being in Owings Mills back in August and saying that this is the best supporting cast Lamar's ever had. Mm-hmm. I've never seen him more in lockstep with these two receivers than he is right now. People who cover the team for a living that were, penciling in Santa Clara reservations, and you don't even make the playoffs.
Right.
And the Bills, same argument, and you hire Joe Brady, and it's like, okay, status quo.
Yeah.
How are you going to get better with it, especially with that general manager?
Right, and start looking at the free agents in house that they have to try to re-sign, some of whom they shouldn't, and they're going to lose a lot of talent this offseason. And you got those two teams at plus 1,200, and you do not have the Jaguars on this list. And you do not have the Texans on this list, and you don't have the Broncos on this list. So you are looking to a degree at just the pure, I know who the quarterback is, and I know he's awesome, and the quarterbacks are awesome. So these are the odds that we're giving you.
Is that Vegas setting a trap? Is that the smarts out in Vegas trying to reel in some silly money?
Yeah, because who's placing a futures bet on February 9th? We got March Madness coming up, guys. We got other things to bet on. You can bet on the draft, you can bet on the NBA All-Star game. That seems weird, but so that there is some schmuck bait to this, but it does kind of give us like a framing, a reference to start the offseason off. At plus 1,400, both the Packers and Eagles. I guess I don't see the Packers at all, honestly, right now. You do.
I kind of do, because I feel like their step back was injury related. If they don't lose Tucker Kraft after week 9, how much different does that season play out? I mean, Tucker Kraft was Jordan Love's top receiver, and he's a tight end. But you take him out of the equation, everything has to change. It took a long time for Matthew Golden to get up to speed, but we saw Xavier Worthy make an impact in his second year. And then there's some guy named Micah Parsons who was in the conversation for Defensive Player of the Year. He gets hurt, changes everything they have to do. Yeah. I can't see the injury luck being that outrageous next year that they're not going to be in the mix.
Parsons tore that ACL in December. Right. So you're looking at him not trying to come back too early from an ACL injury, talking about yesterday's headlines. You probably have somebody that we're going to be seeing in October. And if the argument is, oh my God, Tucker Kraft got hurt, we have to change everything, then everything's probably messed up, because Tucker Kraft is not Travis Kelce. He's not even George Kelce. He's a good ball player, obviously, but it's like, oh no, we lose our number one tight end. We have to rely on the 8 wide receivers we have rolling around, and you're losing games to the Panthers. There's a structural problem there. Eagles, I think we're all in Eagles pessimism mode here, but
I just don't understand what's happening there. I just don't understand that situation, and this is just me speculating, but it does sure kind of sound like people are sick of Nick Sirianni in that building, does it not? I mean, you have Vic Fangio kind of weighing, is there enough baked ziti, enough meatball parms being dropped off for me to stay here? Jeff Stoutland, parachutes into a break or a retirement. You part ways with Scott Leffler. You hear the whispers about potential retirements. It just seems like the coach of the vibes has some bad vibes coming out of his building right now.
Right. To the point where it's like, can we rewind and look at that conversation again in terms of keeping him when it seems like they should have looked around the staff? And if he was not that popular in the staff, maybe they should have made a change.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Lions are at plus 1,500.
What do you make of the Lions?
Don't know. Don't know. It's just when they were good, they were better than everybody except maybe the Seahawks and Rams. And when they were bad, it was ridiculous. And they were doing the reverse Vrabel, where every 4th and 4, they're trying to, prove that they're the most aggressive team in the world. I like the new double dip coordinator hire, where they bring in both Kafka and Petzig. And I think they kept Shaw. So you have all of these offensive minds in there. By the way, George McKeevy says, could be worse. 2 words, Mike and McCarthy. Check and mate. 4 words, Mike and McCarthy and Rodgers returns. You want to talk about vibes? Noxious vibes?
Oof.
There's no way that can be real.
No.
There's no way that can be real.
This is where my theory that we all died during COVID and we're in an alternate timeline and like we're stuck in purgatory. This is where it comes in because the Steelers are always held up as this like exemplary organization that does things by the book, the old school way. They know how to hire head coaches. They have patience for head coaches. Eventually, they figure out the quarterback situation. You're telling me that Mike McCarthy and Aaron Rodgers,
right?
Seriously? That's the power structure of that franchise in Pittsburgh? Come on.
This is like one of those movies where like somebody like Ray Liotta is the stalker, or like in the old days it would have been De Niro or whatever, and he's stalking the family and he's doing anything to just make their lives miserable. That's what Aaron Rodgers is doing to Mike McCarthy. It's a Cape Fear situation. It's a Cape Fear situation where he's just out there doing jump scares and he's not actually going to go through with this. But the Steelers are not on the list here. Lions plus 1,500. We don't know what to make of them. Now, here's the rest of the plus 1,500s. Chiefs, obviously, they're going to be on the list.
Yeah.
Chargers and Patriots.
I think the Chargers are the best value. I think they're the best value of that bunch. And I go back to the injury theory. You get both tackles back in full strength. They have, I believe, either the 2nd or 4th most cap space in the league to continue on their quest to add talent for Justin Herbert to throw to. It just seems like at plus 1,500, you're dealing with Patrick Mahomes tearing an ACL in early January. You're dealing with the Patriots fighting the Super Bowl loser curse and everything that comes with that. That's actually pretty decent value for an AFC team, in my opinion, at plus 1,500. It's a little bit juicy for me if I were a schmuck wanting to light some money, like $10 on fire on February 9th.
Yeah, I'm obviously a bigger Charger skeptic. A lot of people agree with you. I was, bending this around with some people. They kind of liked it. So you got these 4 plus 1,500s: Lions, Chiefs, Chargers, Patriots. I would skip any of them for a team that's not on this list. If you're talking about playing the injury game, the 49ers.
Yeah.
The 49ers getting Warner and Bosa back on defense and just having normal health, ripping the substation out or whatever they need to do, putting some new insulation in. I have no idea. Getting normal health. This team got to the 2nd round of the playoffs. They beat the Eagles. Yeah, they got hammered by the Seahawks, but they were done. They were out of humans. That's a team where if I'm going to, I don't know what you get. Maybe it's plus 2,000. I don't know. But to get them with the kind of year they had with nobody going to the playoffs, that would be the team I would want to play injury ball with.
My problem with them is I don't know that they ever replaced Deebo Samuel's value as a run blocker. And that sounds silly with all the injuries that they had, but I feel like schematically, and so much of what Christian McCaffrey does and makes him dangerous on the perimeter is they were so good at using their receivers as blockers during that heyday. And they never had that this year. Now, maybe part of that is Ricky Pearsall was banged up, so he wasn't there. Then maybe he was more reluctant as a blocker than his skill set lends him to be. But if they go out and they sign like a really good blocking receiver, which again sounds kind of silly when you think about all the other people coming back and they can lean into what makes that scheme so dangerous, I could see it. I actually, this is where we get a little bit nuts. I actually thought that the team you were going to mention was these guys.
For the Super Bowl? Yeah, that's the thing. It's a Super Bowl bet.
Last place schedule again. So you're getting last place schedule in a division where who knows what the hell the Eagles are. You get Jackson Dart back. You have all those edge rushers. You're picking 5th in the draft. So you're going to have the ability to fix the right tackle position once and for all. You can throw some money at the cornerback position. In an NFC where there's all these teams with all these questions ranked ahead of them, they could be that weird, like, plus 2,200 insurgent Patriot team from this year.
Right. But like, you are stuck with, we're excited about the Seahawks, we're excited about the Rams. So then you have a hard time with that. If we start talking about division props, and you start throwing the Giants at me, it's like, okay, now I'm listening. Oh, you can get them plus 350 to win the division. So lighter lift there, I feel more comfortable about it. Getting them to do what the Patriots just did, man, that's a big order. You know, to say Dart's going to do the May, you know, and Harbaugh's going to do the Vrabel. I can't see it right now at that particular level. Maybe at plus 10,000 you have me, but let's be real. I'm not betting on the Giants. Let's be real.
Yeah, the NFC road is a little bit tougher road to hoe than what the Patriots had to do. We're going to adjust the schedule a little bit here. We're going to go every other week in the offseason for the podcast. Watch an announcement I might have for the podcast feed in between, just trying to button up a couple things. I'll talk to you about this off air, just an idea that I'm kicking around in my mind. But we're going to go every other week, which means the next time the folks will see us together, we'll be together at the Combine in Indianapolis, probably oozing scotch from our pores and after a few too many smash burgers.
Right, and that'll either be the Wednesday of the Combine or the Thursday of the Combine. The Tuesday is way too much actual reporting to do. So if we tried to do the show, we wouldn't know what to talk about in the show because the news is happening then. So we'll do it that Wednesday or that Thursday. I'm sure the internet connection will be horrendous, but we ask you to bear with us as we do it.
I might actually go and buy like an actual podcast microphone we can use. I might actually like get a Bluetooth microphone that we can sit between us and do it that way.
It's good because when you have the microphone and you're doing that, because when we're sitting out in those little, in the convention center, people give you a little more space and treat you like, oh, they're doing a podcast. Because if we're sitting there with our phones, like we're taking selfies, you're like, oh my God, you're so Bush League. Oh. Yeah. Oh my God, it's so lame. But if we have the podcast microphone, we're professional.
And we got the iPhone up on the tripod that we have sitting up here. Yes, it'll be like an actual operation. It'll be fun. What do you have coming up on the 2 Deep Zone between now and then?
I don't know. I'm going to go to sleep. As soon as this is over, I'm going to sleep for about 2 hours. That's what's going on. Actually, the 32 off-season previews are going to be coming back on very quickly. We got Packers in the queue, got not Lions. We got Packers and some other team in the queue, Minnesota. And then we got the NFC South, but then it'll get better after that. What do you got coming up?
Yeah, we're going to dive back into the 3 offseason moves that each team has to make, kind of piggybacking off of you. Mailbag on Friday. Get the mailbag questions in. We'll pose your questions to NFL executives, scouts, coaches, former players alike. Get their answers to your questions. That drops every Friday, even in the offseason. No rest for the wicked. But I think that I might go and like curl up with a book and take a nap. I think it's time to take a nap.
Take a nap. Get your little one, snuggle up, watch Bluey, whatever kids watch these days. Take a little time. There's a little me time for you, a little me time for me, and then we'll reconvene at the Scouting Combine in Indianapolis.
Hey, you'll appreciate this. It is now Spidey and his amazing friends that's the dominant show in the
Oh,
house. We are all in on Marvel right now.
that's phenomenal. It's great that they came up with a Spidey show for the little ones
Yeah.
that was designed for that, and they can introduce all the different Marvel characters that way. Very cute show.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun to watch with them. He's Mike Tanier. Check him out at the Two Deep Zone on Substack. Make sure you subscribe there. You can subscribe to Between the Hash Marks on Substack to get my reporting as well. Be sure to check us out on YouTube at Matt Lombardo975. And please, if you're out there, if you enjoy these live shows, if you listen to the podcast otherwise on the Apple Podcast Store, please subscribe there. Leave us those 5-star ratings and reviews in the Apple Podcast Store. They do help grow the show, make us easier to find. And it's been a lot of fun, everybody. Really enjoy everybody checking in every week. We'll talk to you in 2 weeks. Mike, I'll see you in Indy, man.